Hey ChatGPT, today I want to discuss with you a topic of meta thinking.
Meta thinking, love it. So we're basically reflecting on thinking itself, right? What angle do you want to explore? Maybe how we think about our own thoughts?
In this, we want to think around that when we are trying to have interrogate a question or a problem statement, then in that case, the interrogation, how it should be formed. So that let's say if I want to use any of these large language models, then first question is that how should I frame my prompt? So
So
yeah, go ahead.
no worries. When framing that interrogation, or let's say a prompt, it helps to clarify what you really want to learn. You can think about what assumptions are already in the question, what context you'd need, and what form of answer you're hoping for. So interrogate the question itself. What do I know? What am I missing? And how would I recognize a helpful response? Once you've got those, shaping a prompt gets a lot easier.
Okay, so you have uh, taken this one dimension of the prompt, which is dividing the whole world knowledge space into the knowledge that I know, knowledge that I know that I don't know, and knowledge that I don't know that I don't know.
Exactly. It's like peeling back layers. When we form a prompt, we're often operating from what we think we know. But meta thinking nudges us to reflect on what we're missing or what blind spots we have. The magic is framing it so the model helps you uncover those unknown unknowns, or at least gives you a new angle. It's like inviting a different lens on your own thought process.
Okay, so then if we go to the one other dimension of looking at what we are discussing, then let's try to see that how to find more details about the knowledge. So I have some thoughts I will share with you, and then you can share more details on top of it, or correct me, or take the discussion forward. Okay.
That sounds like a great plan. I'm all ears for your thoughts, and then we'll dig deeper together, whether that means adding some nuance or exploring a side you might not have considered yet.
Okay. So if we look at the other dimension of our thought, then what this thought I have is that all the knowledge can be divided into the way the libraries are organized, right? They have all the shelves for all the knowledge that we have. Like we have biology, we have science, within science we have chemistry, we have geography. So is there a terminology for dividing the knowledge in the way library divides the knowledge?
Yes, broadly speaking, we often call that a taxonomy or a classification system. Libraries traditionally use systems like the Dewey Decimal or Library of Congress classification to arrange knowledge into categories and subcategories. In a meta thinking sense, these structures help us contextualize where a piece of knowledge sits in the grand scheme, making it easier to know where to look or what we might be missing.
Okay, so this is one aspect of it. So we can divide the knowledge into different taxonomies or classifications of knowledge. Then second angle of it is looking and is that everything in this world has attributes to it. That what are the key attributes of this knowledge that I want to know about? And there are properties. So do you think these two words, attributes and properties, are different words, or they are pretty much similar word? What do you think? I'm not very clear about difference between the word attribute and properties.
I see where you're coming from. They're often close, but there's a subtle distinction. Attributes are more like characteristics, what something is or what describes it. Properties often lean toward what something can do or how it behaves. In practice, they overlap, but thinking in meta terms, it's useful to be clear. When we interrogate knowledge, we might ask what defines it, attributes, and how does it work or relate, properties. It helps us shape our questions more precisely.
Okay, So first one was taxonomy or classification of knowledge. Then there is attributes. Then there is properties. Then I want also to include, there is always, for everything in this world, there is always a, a pure opposite of that. So this can help the information to be enriched by looking at the exact opposite side of it. Do you believe in my this approach, or do you see any flaws in this approach?
I think it's a powerful approach. Opposites or contrasts often reveal blind spots and enrich understanding. The
So,
one caution is that not everything has a neat opposite. Some concepts are more nuanced or multidimensional. But as a thought tool, it's great. It forces us to consider extremes, challenge assumptions, and fill in gaps we might otherwise miss.
okay, so what we can do is that in the prompt it should be included that if there are neat opposites or contrasts, then that should also be mentioned or included. So we put a if, so that the LLM doesn't get confused or tries to put the opposite even if it's not there, right? To hallucinate a opposite. So we can put this. Now, one other aspect of it is that always for everything there are similar things, comparables, which can be compared, who belong to the same class of thing. Do
Absolutely.
you, what do you think on this?
I think you're spot on. Identifying comparables or similar entities gives you context. It shows patterns, benchmarks, and lets you evaluate in a bigger picture. By explicitly prompting the LLM to note similarities or comparable cases, you enrich your understanding. Just like with opposites, it's a way to triangulate where this knowledge fits. All these dimensions together help you craft a prompt that really dives deep.
Okay, and then there are always edge cases to everything, because generalization has its limit. For example, no, we can say in general energy is conserved, but the edge case is energy is not conserved when a atom's nucleus break down, right? Then mass and energy together are conserved, not only energy. So how should we include this concept of edge cases into our prompt?
We can explicitly invite them in. In the prompt, we might say something like, if there are notable exceptions or edge cases where general rules don't fully apply, please highlight those. This prompts the model to move beyond just generalities. Edge cases show us the boundaries of what we think we know. So asking for them ensures a fuller, more robust understanding. Always helpful in refining thinking.
So we have discussed till now, we discussed about taxonomy or classification of knowledge. We discussed about similarities. We discussed about contrast. We discussed about properties. We discussed about attributes. We discussed about edge cases. What are other holistic things of meta thinking which can help us to have our first prompt, which will tell us how to build a prompt for a question? So am I missed any other dimension of looking at it? Like first dimension you included was that you mentioned was dividing it into the knowledge that we know that we know, knowledge that we know that we don't know, and knowledge that we don't know that we don't know. So, and then these other dimensions I pointed out. Based on this, can you come up or think of other dimensions which are already not covered in these categories? Can you think of it?
One dimension we could add is purpose or context. Why do you need this knowledge? Knowing the goal shapes how we ask. Another is process or method. How is this knowledge obtained or validated? That keeps the reasoning sound. Also, implications or consequences. What happens if this knowledge is applied? That helps with practical prompts. Finally, uncertainty. What is still debated or evolving? By addressing uncertainty, we invite the model to show gaps or ambiguities. Putting these together gives us a well rounded prompt strategy.
Okay, so I think the points that you said about the application, what will be the application, and what is why do I need this knowledge. This will be part of the second prompt. So for one thing that I want to do research on, or no use the LLM for, I will do in two iterations. First, I will have an overview of what I am thinking about, and in that there will be topics about the things that we discussed, and I will also add in that the idea of what is evolving or uncertain about this topic. And then in the second prompt, and I will also include in the same thing that what is the application of this knowledge or impact of this knowledge in the world. And in my second prompt I will add the context, that why I need this knowledge, what do I want to do with the knowledge. First I want to have an overview of the knowledge, and then in my second prompt use that knowledge information to build a better prompt. And in second iteration I think it's better to provide that why do I need the knowledge, what is the context of it. First should be bland, without any context, a holistic overview on any topic that we want. So in that, can you tell me what are the things that we, points or dimensions that we have agreed till now, one by one in bullet points?
Absolutely. Here's what we've got. 1. Classification or taxonomy. Break knowledge into categories or domains. 2. Attributes. Core characteristics that define the topic. 3. Properties, how it behaves or what it can do. 4. Similarities, comparable topics or entities. 5. Contrasts, opposites or contrasting ideas if they exist. 6. Edge cases, exceptions where the general rule might not apply. 7. Evolving or uncertain aspects, what's still debated or changing. 8. Purpose or application, what this knowledge is used for. 9. Context, why you're seeking this knowledge, which you'll use in a second prompt. With
Yeah.
these dimensions, you can thoroughly frame your prompt.
And second prompt, there was also a dimension of what do I know that I know, what do I know that I don't know, and what I don't know that I don't know. Or where will it be, or it's not needed. What do you think now?
That dimension is still valuable, but it's more of a self awareness lens. You might not need it in every prompt, but it's a great tool before prompting. In other words, you'd reflect on what you know and don't know first to sharpen what you ask. So, it's not necessarily a prompt dimension to feed into the model, but rather a meta thinking step to help you craft better prompts.
Yes.
So,
And
yes, it's still important, just more internal to you before you ask.
okay, so now I think we have missed one other key dimension, which might be part of my internal thinking process, or prompt one or prompt two. The one topic that I keep on hearing is thinking big and small, and uh, thinking from the uh, far and close. Then, what do you think about this? How can we frame it where it should be?
That's a great catch. The idea of zooming in and out, big picture versus fine detail, adds richness. You could frame it as asking for both a broad, high level overview and, where relevant, a granular breakdown. In practice, you might say, give a broad conceptual view and then highlight key specifics or examples. This perspective shift could be part of your first prompt, ensuring you don't miss either the forest or the trees. So it helps frame how deeply or broadly you explore a topic.
Okay. And then there is another key concept, which is thinking in terms of systems. So systems and its components, no? So thinking system and its components, how and where would you place it? Or
I'd
you
play.
will ignore it? Yeah.
We definitely wouldn't ignore it. Thinking in systems is crucial. I'd integrate it into the holistic overview, prompting the LLM to consider how this topic fits into larger systems and what components make it up. So, in your first prompt, you'd say, describe both the system this knowledge is part of and its key components. That way, you see the interconnected big picture and the smaller parts.
Okay. So then let's review the whole thing. What should be my mental state or mental awareness before I ask my first prompt. What are the dimensions of my first prompt? What are the dimensions of my second prompt? And then after the exercise is completed, what should be my internal mental awareness? So can you summarize this whole thing that we discussed?
Before the first prompt, your mental awareness should be reflective. What do I know and not know? What's my purpose? Then, in the first prompt, you'll ask for a holistic overview: classification, attributes, properties, similarities, contrasts, edge cases, evolving areas, systems, and both broad and detailed views. In the second prompt, you'll refine based on context, your purpose, application, and specific needs. After the exercise, your mental awareness should be reflective. Did I fill in gaps? What new unknowns or next questions do I have? It's a cycle of broad exploration, then focus, with awareness at each step.
Okay. So now, can you give me an example of using this technique?
Sure, let's say you're curious about artificial intelligence. First, you reflect.
No,
What
I don't want it about artificial intelligence. Let's say I am a CIO and somebody has come with selling me a, a CRM system, and I want to know, start my research about this CRM system, and my objective is to take a decision that whether buying this CRM system is good enough for me or not.
In that scenario, first reflect on what you know and don't know about CRMs. Then your first prompt might say, give me a holistic overview of CRM systems: classifications, key attributes, properties, common comparisons, contrasts, typical edge cases, and current trends. Once you have that big picture, your second prompt narrows it down. Given my company's size and industry, and that I want to improve customer retention, what aspects of this CRM are most relevant, and what potential impacts should I consider? Afterwards, reflect. Do I understand my needs and trade offs? That cycle grounds your decision.
Okay. I think we had a good discussion today. Can you recommend me what discussion we should have next, which is a bit in the boundary of philosophy and a bit in the boundary of IT and enterprise and no executive decision making and these kind of things?
How about next time we tackle something like ethical decision making in tech leadership? It's got that philosophical edge, what's right or good, while also being grounded in practical executive decisions. We could explore how to weigh stakeholder impact, long term consequences, and values when implementing new technologies. Sound intriguing?
Yeah, I think we can discuss about this topic next. Now, can you uh, give me a short LinkedIn summary, because this discussion that we had, this audio I'm going to upload on LinkedIn. So if you give me a short summary, I will use that to post as a description. Make sure to keep it Unicode formatted and add the hashtags.
Today, we explored meta thinking for decision
That's
making.
fine.
We
Thank you. I will cut it. You do the summary later. Okay.
no problem at